Hey everyone, this is Kyle. I'm the plumbing technical trainer at Thornton & Grooms. Today in our video we're going to be talking about sump pumps and their importance and a couple little tricks you can do on your own in your home to make sure they're working properly. Main thing that your sump pump is doing is keeping your basement dry. It prevents it from flooding, not just your finished areas, but it also protects that expensive equipment that typically resides in your basement, like your water heater and your furnace. Those get water damage, those can void warranties on those. So it's important to have a running sump pump. With that being said, now we're gonna head over to our lab so I can show you exactly how to make sure your sump pump's working and the little tricks to test its function. So what we have here is kind of your basic sump pump setup. Typical parts on it, we have our power cord that plugs into the outlet. Every pump is going to have some type of float on it. This one is built right into the pump, so when the water raises, it's going to lift this float till it hits this arm, and then that's going to turn on the pump till the water lowers to a point where it shuts back off. So think of it just like a light switch that's being pushed up and down by the water level. Next main component of your sump pump is going to be your check valve. What this is designed to do is after that water pumps up and through this pipe, when the pump shuts off, that water wants to come crashing back down. This has a little flapper in it that shuts and closes and keeps the water on this top side of the pump. You can kind of see it if you see right here on this one. As water passes through, it pushes open, and then as the pump shuts off, it closes back shut, allowing water not to come back through. The other important step into your sump pump is drilling a little hole in the pipe below that check valve. And this is your weep hole. Now when this pumps, water is going to spray out of it, but that's normal. This is just designed so the pump doesn't get air trapped inside of it, and it'll seem like it's pumping, but it actually will not be pumping water at all and giving you a false sense of security. All right, so now we have that pump that I showed you over on the table. We have one actually put in place right here that's functional. So if you take a look down in the pit, right here, if you follow this pipe down, you'll see a similar pump to the one that we just spoke of. Down here, this is where it's normally going to sit. You can see the water level is raised, but it hasn't all completely come on yet. So once that water raises up, what's going to happen is this float's going to kick on, and then we're going to see it pump till it lowers down to the level that the float can rest and shut off that switch. And you also saw where that water shot out. That is that weep hole that I spoke of that keeps the pump from being airlocked. Now when you're trying to assess if your sump pump's working or not, a couple quick things that you want to check right off the bat. First and foremost, check the power. One, make sure it's plugged in. Make sure that someone wasn't, a lot of times the outlet in the sump pump room is going to have a single outlet, not the double. So people unplug them, maybe put in a humidifier, use it for their vacuum, something, forget to plug in the sump pump. That's a very common thing that happens. Second, if it is plugged in and you're not sure of the power situation, you can use a simple electrical tester, put it up to the pit. Let you know if you're getting power on the cord, you know that the outlet is supplied with power. If you do not get a reading, the next step would be to go to your electrical panel and check to make sure that breaker isn't tripped. Typically they're marked because they usually have a devoted breaker for the sump pump and sump pump alone. Second thing you want to do is, if we know we have power, we want to check our float. Like I mentioned before, that float moves the little switch kind of like a light switch. Those electrical contacts in there eventually do wear out. They are rated for long use, but it happens. It's a very common reason why pumps go bad. So we want to check that next. If we know we have power, we can check the float. Some pits are real deep, so if you have a broom or a old metal hanger, you can reach down there, lift that float up. Or in certain situations, if you have a hose available, you can just fill the pit up with water till the pump kicks on, and that'll confirm its operation. After that, if we have power and our float's working, but we're still not pumping, The next thing we want to check is there that weep hole? Many pumps will not have a weep hole and they will never experience a problem, but there are those times where I've gone to a home. If you've ever had a sump pump where you've had to jiggle the pipe and it kicks on, sometimes that disturbs that air enough to get that pump sending and pumping properly. So that could be an indication that weep hole is necessary. Now, if we ruled out power, our float, and the weep hole, the next thing we want to do is check around the pump. Make sure there's no debris. A lot of times a pit might not have a lid on it, or the lids aren't fully sealed. They'll have a big opening, so things can fall down in there, especially toys if it's in a basement, in an exposed area. A Lego, a ping pong ball, something can get stuck in there, get into where the pump's intake is, and cause it not to pump properly. So those are some things that you can check on your own to make sure if your pump's working properly. Another easy way to monitor your sump pump without looking at it constantly is installing a high water alarm. And basically what that does is if that pump doesn't turn on either because it failed or loss of power, that water's going to get to a point where, just like raising the float on the pump, it raises a secondary float that basically kicks on an alarm that goes off like a smoke detector. There's also ones that can be incorporated with Wi-Fi to send you an alert to your phone in case you're not home. But a lot of times if these go off, you need to reset them in order to get them to work again. So what that looks like is if the water raised up high enough, we have this float right here. This is going to come up. The alarm's going to go off, and it's going to indicate by the light that this alarm went off. So what we do is, to reset that, is on this Zoller model, we just hold down the button for 3 seconds, and it'll shut it off. The same thing in the event of, it goes off because your basement's starting to flood because of a bad pump, and you don't want to listen to that all the time. Even though the water level hasn't dropped, you repeat the same process and it'll silence that alarm. So besides the worrisome of a flooding basement, you don't have to listen to an alarm at the same time.